Welcome to Radio 64.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Drifting away back into sweet slumber again. I'm waiting for you to bring me back to life someday. Wake up from bliss now that the night has come to pass. I'm now dreaming of a life I hope to live one day. Far away your confusion, understand you are only human. Why try to fake resolution? Look around you, it's all an illusion. Now on my own, never to see summer again. I'm not looking back on what my life became that day. Far away your confusion, understand you are only human. Why try to fake resolution? Look around you, it's all an illusion. Drifting away back into sweet slumber again. I'm waiting for you to bring me back to life someday. Far away your confusion, understand you are only human. Why try to fake resolution? Look around you, it's all an illusion.
Welcome to Radio 64, Video Game Music Remix Radio. I'm your host, Eric Mickles, also known online as duskvstweak. Radio 64 is part of the Radio Meanwhile network. You can visit radiomeanwhile.com for more information about this and other great podcasts. Share your thoughts on this episode and request music by following the show on Facebook or Twitter at Radio64Pod. Please rate, subscribe, and share this show on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, wherever you get your podcast. We opened the show with Summertime by Hale-Bopp from ocremix.org from the game Star Ocean, the original Star Ocean from 1996 on the Super Nintendo. That track came out in 2005, and it absolutely fits the times of its release. That sounds it sounds like a track that would have been on the Burnout 3 soundtrack back when that game came out on the PS2. This pop rock sound that Hale-Bopp is going for is absolutely nailed in this track. The harmonies are great. The rock guitar is fantastic. It has just a sweet, unassuming sound to it that feels summery, feels like it could rock. It feels like it could be a hit if it was being played on something other than this video game remix radio. It feels like if this had come on the radio in 2005 on your local pop station, it could have been popular with listeners around the world on all stations. I think this is a really cool experiment. It's one that I came to a little late after it was released, but one that I always kind of stuck with. Having no experience with Star Ocean, I always found this track to just be so well done, so well produced, even though I was unfamiliar with the source track, this song itself. So it's another track that I've been holding on to for this show, but again, I kind of forgot that we were in the summer, even though we're almost to August. I had completely forgot we are experiencing the summer. That's what quarantine has done, but luckily I remembered. So again, that was Summertime by Hale-Bopp from OCRemix.org from the game Star Ocean. As I've said before in past episodes, I am an absolute sucker for Pokemon Mystery Dungeon remixes, especially those done by TJH. Just put this in the same box. This is another Pokemon mystery track by TJH, and it absolutely wins me over. It has a real club sound, kind of a industrial club sound, I think. The electronic synth in this song are revving up a little bit more than normal. TJH is just able to create these really listenable beats, with this fantastic soundscape that just feels so video gamey and so poppy. Never really chiptune, but always feels like it's coming out of one of Nintendo's portable consoles. So this is 99 Floors Underground by TJH from OCRemix.org from the game Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red Rescue Team. That was 99 Floors Underground by TJH from OCRemix.org from the game Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red Rescue Team. I like how it starts off with a little bit of that innocent chiptune sound, and then it just gets a little bit more aggressive as it goes on, as the club gets a little bit more intense. Big fan of Donkey Kong Country here at Radio 64. Big fan of the Donkey Kong Country games myself. Donkey Kong 1 and 2 are classics for me. I played a little bit of Donkey Kong Country 3, and I say a little bit because I really don't know how far I got. Maybe halfway through, maybe a little bit more. We were renting Donkey Kong Country 3, and I liked the look of it, but there was something that was different between with that game. The settings, the character. I mean, I was a fan of Dixie, but Kiddy Kong did not win me over, even with his little sock pulling animation. But yeah, there was just something that felt off about Donkey Kong Country 3. The same way that you get when you see a movie that brings in a new director for the third film. There's just something that doesn't line up the same way Donkey Kong 1 and 2 does. Not to say that Donkey Kong Country 3 wasn't a fun game in its own right, it just didn't latch onto it like I had the previous games. Same thing I think can be said about the music. There was something about the music that just didn't really do it for me the same way the first two games did, and I don't have a whole lot of favorite tracks from it. A lot of my preferred music from Donkey Kong Country 3 now comes from the remixes I've heard, especially the Donkey Kong Country 3 album that OC Remix put out, the Double the Trouble. That one I dig, except for the Country Bears vibe that it gets going on. But this is a standalone track apart from that album, an unrelenting grungy electronic piece here with some strange vocals in here that seem to be going for a trance-like sound. The mixing seems a bit off, like maybe the vocals are too loud or too upfront. Maybe they need to be blended in with the rest of the song more. But this track is able to just keep with that unrelenting feeling of having to move forward, which happens in Donkey Kong Country 3 and those games, where you're just constantly moving forward to get through those dangerous levels. There's something dangerous about this song, I think. This is My Red Hot Pursuit by Wintermute from ocremix.org from the game Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble.
Nothing can stop me. Nothing can stop me. Nothing can stop me now. Nothing can stop me now.
was My Red Hot Pursuit by Wintermute from OCRemix.org from the game Donkey Kong Country 3 Dixie Kong's Double Trouble. The way those vocals kind of blend into the background and become part of a larger soundscape, I think is a really cool feature of that song. Alright, time to put my money where my mouth is. A couple episodes ago, I talked about RebeccaETripp because we had played one of her newer tracks, and I had suggested I would really like to see her do something a bit spookier, a bit scarier, maybe something from Resident Evil or Silent Hill. And lo and behold, RebeccaETripp has released 2 new songs to OC Remix that have a much more spookier vibe, something a bit darker than I think we've heard before. Both tracks still have that harp sound, the woodsy feel, but these 2 are a bit creepier. They have more of a Halloween vibe to them, and maybe that's because of the source tunes they're coming from. So one of them is coming from Portal 2, playing the triple laser phase, and another is coming from Final Fantasy VI, the Another World of Beasts track by Nobuo Uematsu, which I've always really enjoyed. That dark music of seeing the other world on the other side where certain characters have origins from in Final Fantasy VI. The track is a really atmospheric one, and I'm glad to see that RebeccaETripp and has covered that as well. So what we're doing is something we do every so often when we get some thematic connection. I'm just going to play these RebeccaETripp songs. I'm just going to play these 2 tracks back to back and let them just segue into each other. So I will see you at the end of both of these songs. In the order of play, you have Thermal Encouragement by RebeccaETripp from OCRemix.org from the game Portal 2, and Land of the Eidolons by RebeccaETripp and Nabeel Ansari from OCRemix.org from the game Final Fantasy VI. That was Thermal Encouragement by RebeccaETripp from OCRemix.org from the game Portal 2, and Land of the Eidolons by RebeccaETripp and Nabeel Ansari from OCRemix.org and from Final Fantasy VI. I think the Portal 2 track is a bit more scary, a bit creepier. I think it's going for a bit more of a dark, spooky, Lost in the Woods sound, but the source for Another World of Beast, it's just a dark sound from the beginning. So to remix that, you're always going to get a darker track. Both tracks right there, little spooky. All right, so we have a Batman track here, and we've played a couple of Batman tracks in the past, but usually they come from the movie game for the NES. This is coming from the original Game Boy track, the title screen from the 1990 Game Boy version of Batman. And there's some really cool electric guitar work in here. The song has an aggressive sound to it, but the guitar is just kind of playing around in a jazzy fashion, while the whole song has this kind of industrial rock, this industrial synth sound, a bit out of 9 Inch Nails. The chiptune and the jazz influences here keep it a little bit more boppy. And it's coming from the album Legacy Game Boy 25th Anniversary, which came out in 2015, which means the Game Boy is 30 years old now. Didn't really think about that. I'm only about 4 years older than the Game Boy. Goodness. Having never played the Batman game on the Game Boy, this is still a pretty fun track. Still has that Batman game sound, that a little bit more inspired by the Adam West show, even though this is the 1989 movie game. I find that a lot of the music being remixed for the Batman theme tends to have a connection to the Adam West 60s show. So this is Kaikuluotain by Eino, Keskitalo, and Tuberz McGee from OCRemix.org from the game Batman. was Kaikuluotain by Eino, Keskitalo, and Tuberz McGee from OCRemix.org from the game Batman, the 1990 Game Boy Batman game. And again, check out the Legacy album, the Game Boy 25th Anniversary album. Just a celebration of the original Game Boy, that big, blocky, gray Game Boy that took up 4 AA's and had those like 3 different levels of green. I loved my Game Boy. I got a lot of cozy memories from my Game Boy. From Game Boy to Game Boy Advance, we've got a Golden Sun track here because the latest album from Overclocked Remix, Golden Sun, A World Reignited, just has a whole bunch of fantastic Golden Sun tracks from both Golden Sun and The Lost Age. This track is specifically coming from The Lost Age. And it is a K-pop track remixing the Golden Sun Rises from The Lost Age. A really cool, funky piece. I don't listen to K-pop in general, though I've heard a couple tracks from different sources. This one has a very poppy sound, and then it has a hip-hop sound to it. Some of the instrumentations are a bit crunchier, and then there's a rap solo in here that really elevates this track to almost legendary standards. And I believe this is actually the first K-pop style remix to come to OC Remix. So this is What I Want to Say by Vylent, Spy Girls, and TSori from OCRemix.org from the game Golden Sun, The Lost Age.
어렸을 때부터 우리 친했는데 이젠 함께 있는데도 Now you're so far away 모르겠어 늘 믿었었는데 전부 다 변해버렸어 너무나 낯선 너 배신자야 쉽게
That was What I Want to Say by Vylent, Spy Girls, TSori, from ocremix.org from the game Golden Sun The Lost Age. A very successful track, that one. And again, from the Golden Sun World Reignited album. Go check that out if you were a Golden Sun fan. Now, this track is one that I've been listening to almost non-stop since I picked it for this episode. I don't think I was initially familiar with it, this remix specifically. I was just playing some Street Fighter 3 from the 30th anniversary collection, and I was in a Street Fighter mood. One of the characters I never played as in Super Street Fighter 2 was Cammy, mainly because I had Street Fighter 2 The World Warrior on Super Nintendo, and that was it. We never got the other versions of Street Fighter 2. So I've never played a lot of the characters from the new challengers, but the Cammy stage is a really cool one. It really does feel like Europop is a strong influence from it, especially the 90s Europop, since the game would have come out in 1993. It has a very early 90s sound, but also a very exciting spy quality to it as well. And the Cammy stage is just such a beautifully designed stage, that castle walls with the Borealis lights, the northern lights off in the background. There really is something cool about that stage, about the music, and also while listening to the Cammy stage music by itself, realizing how much it has in common with the Ken stage, with the Ken USA music. What happens here is Sir Nuts has taken both Cammy and the Ken theme and mixed them together, and there come points where I'm having a hard time figuring out where the transition happens. I know when I'm listening to Cammy's music, and I know when I'm listening to Ken's theme, but it's harder for me to figure out when one has segued into the other. This is a really cool mix, really does good by both those stage tracks. So this is Stepping Out by Sir Nuts from ocremix.org from the game Super Street Fighter 2 The New Challengers. Stepping Out by Sir Nuts from OCRemix.org from the game Super Street Fighter 2 The New Challengers. And one thing about Overclocked Remix is that it kind of taught me that I could really get into dubstep. Dubstep, when it was first starting to become popular, I was like, I don't know, I'm not really digging this sound. But then I started listening to some of the remixes that were using that influence. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now. And I like what Sir Nuts did in that song. The dubstep and the combination with the vocals and the sound effects, the fight, and the sound of Ken getting beaten up. A much quieter piece coming up next. A piece that actually does sound like it might have come from RebeccaETripp herself. This is a remix of Centaur Man Stage from Mega Man 6, another Capcom title. The music here is going for a waterfall-filled atmosphere, and I think it's able to communicate that very well. The woodwinds give it this Mediterranean feel. It kind of has a New Age world sound that it, honestly, I was just replaying Halo 1 and 2 via the Master Chief collections, and I've always remembered the main Halo theme because it's just so iconic and it's just so cool with those Gregorian chants. But I don't remember a lot of those quieter New Age, almost sound like they were inspired by the band Enigma. This track, this Mega Man track, sounds a lot like those pieces of music, which I find funny for both games, because Mega Man 6 and Halo are just so action and combat intense that having a song that sounds like this is a strange juxtaposition, especially Mega Man. I mean, Bubble Man's theme in Mega Man 2 is kind of a fun, peaceful track, but it's still energetic, whereas this one right here, this remix is going for a bit more of a quiet tone. So this is Odyssey Beyond the Falls by Vurez from OCRemix.org from the game Mega Man 6. That was Odyssey Beyond the Falls by Vurez from ocremix.org from the game Mega Man 6. Up next is a track from Super Mario Galaxy, the first Super Mario Galaxy game from 2007 back on the Wii. And it's going for a prog rock sound. Maybe a little bit of Yes can be found in here. A bit of Rush. I think the use of brass throughout the song also kind of gives it some jazz roots. But yeah, this is a wild ride. It's going all over the place, but it's got energy to spare. It has a spacey vibe for sure. This is Galaxy Drifter by LongBoxofChocolate from ocremix.org from the game Super Mario Galaxy. That was Galaxy Drifter by LongBoxofChocolate from OCRemix.org from the game Super Mario Galaxy. I still need to play Super Mario Sunshine, so I haven't gotten to the Galaxy games yet. Though all these rumors are swirling around that Nintendo might be planning to do this like HD collection of Mario on the Switch. So we'll see if that happens. If it does, that might be a pretty good reason now to pick up the Switch if you haven't already. Yeah, listening to that track makes me want to go put on Hemispheres right now. Get through Cygnus Book 2. But that Mario track was the last track of the episode, so thank you for listening to Radio 64, Video Game Music Remix Radio. I have been your host, Eric Mickles, also known online as duskvstweak. You can find me on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch under duskvstweak. Radio 64 is part of the Radio Meanwhile network. You can visit radiomeanwhile.com for more information about this and other great podcasts. You can share your thoughts on this episode and request music by following the show on Facebook or Twitter at Radio64Pod. Please rate, subscribe, and share this show on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. And thank you for listening.